Hello and thank you for joining us on the first edition of Journalist Hangout this week. I'm Bukola Samuel Wemimo. Today on the program, APC makes big gains in Bayelsa Kogi elections as INEC declares Kogi West Senatorial Rerun inconclusive. I will be hanging out with Babajide Kolade Otutoju. Journalist Hangout starts now. The stakes were high, indeed. Hence, the contest of the governorship elections in two Nigerian states of Bayelsa and Kogi was titanic. Though 23 political parties in Kogi and 45 in Bayelsa participated in the elections, it was rarely a two-horse race between the ruling All Progressives Congress APC and the main opposition People's Democratic Party PDP. In Kogi State, where the APC aimed to retain its control, the party's candidate and incumbent, Governor Yahya Bello, scored 406,222 votes to beat Musa Wada of the PDP, who polled 189,704 votes. In Bayelsa, the APC ended the 20-year stronghold of the PDP in the state when its candidate, David Lyon, scored 352,552 votes to defeat Doye Diri, who got 143,172. Lyon's victory marks the first time the PDP would lose a governorship election in the state since the return to democracy in 1999. In the meantime, let's share with you what Babajide and other guests said about the outcome of the election in Kogi during one of our discussions on October the 28th.
Governor Yabelo was saying that, look, Kogi is changing. The Kogi that some people had in mind, where everything was based on where you come from, is not the sort of Kogi that he is trying to build. That he envisages a Kogi that is a classless society, where wherever you come from, you can aspire to any position. That's a strong statement that the governor made, which is an allusion to the fact that he knows in his heart of hearts that if the people of Kogi East decide to come out en masse, because they are clearly in the majority. They have more than 50% of the population.
As the Igala people.
Yes, if they come out en masse for their son, it's going to be extremely difficult.
What will be the determinant or deciding factor for the party that will clinch this ultimate prize to get to the Lugar House?
I think it's the strategy, not simply the people that you have with you. The strategy to get people out on election day. You know, get people out, monitor the voting, police the voting. It's very crucial. Sometimes too, if you do not have people that you can fully trust as your agents, as your collation officers and all that, you will lose the election. You will lose the election. So it's not simply, just as my brother said, it's not simply the quantum of votes that exists in an area that determines who wins. It is the strategy. If the PDP doesn't have the right strategy, though Kogi East is where the candidate of the PDP comes from, they are not likely to win. If Yabelo, despite coming from a minority ethnic group, is incumbent, he has resources, of course you will trust your governors. A lot of them will mobilize to go and assist him. Yeah. The way we see them, how they fire me, all of them, they will go there. That is the strategy now. Once a contest involves an APC governor, you will see the Erufais of this world, they will go there. They will leave what they are doing in their states. They will go there to go and help that person to win. That's why I'm talking about strategy. What happens on election day? Everything that we are talking about, permutations, this and that, can be thrown out of the window. On election day, if you have the right strategy. Yes. If you don't have the right people, you easily lose the election.
Is strategy in any way synonymous with money? The money, the amount you can deploy?
Money is part of strategy.
It's part of strategy.
Now, let me tell you, fact, if you spot a place that what you need to do is to share even money that you share in other places, you can go. But if you spot a place that you need to double the money there, you double.
You
Now,
quickly send the
if
food
you spot
soldiers
a
there.
place that perhaps they have more population and more votes in contention, and your enemy will win,
Let me
you can
quickly-
throw gas
okay,
there.
let
You
me-
can
I-
decide to fight.
I
You
can
cause-
predict
you can
that.
cause fight.
I can predict that in this Kogi election, 10,000 will be shared per head in some.
I
in
can
some
predict
communities.
violence in some places. You don't.
They
live
will
before
share
them.
money as much as 10,000 in some areas, crucial areas.
Per person.
What is it at the end of the day? 10,000 in look, the maximum votes that can, the total votes that can come from Kogi, maybe 500,000.
For something. If it is not rigged, for
So
something.
if we go by
Go
the
and check
figures
the
of the
past.
last one,
240, 225 or
about
so.
500.
Okay.
Potent views there. There's more to come. Also on the 12th of September, when the issue of Bayelsa governorship election was up for discussion on the program, but Babajide told us where the pendulum will swing in the contest. Let's share with you that as well.
The Bayelsa election will be highly monetized.
See?
And the APC candidate is a money bag.
Yeah, it's a money bag, yes.
It's a money bag. Silver,
It's also
who is his godfather, is a money bag. So, and Dixon all along had been known to not like spending money. If he goes to that contest and he maintains his good name
It's austere.
of not wanting to spend money, APC could cause an upset. And if there's a chance for them to cause an upset, I think that
This is the time.
it is this year.
Interesting. But there is no victor, no vanquished yet in the Kogi West Senatorial Rerun held same day. After scoring Senator Smart Adeyemi of the APC 80,118 votes in the election and Senator Dino Milaye of the PDP 59,548 votes, the Independent National Electoral Commission INEC declared the Kogi West Rerun inconclusive. According to the returning officer, Professor Olaide Lawal, he said votes were cancelled in 53 polling units, which affected 46,127 registered voters. Hence, there will be a need for a supplementary poll. All right. First of all, welcome Babajide Kolade Otitoju, and welcome GKB also to the program.
Well, it's a pleasure.
Babajide, before we begin to look at some of the words, the attributes that have been ascribed to the Kogi election, let's look at some of those views that you shared before the election. Did you see strategy in what played out in Kogi?
Extremely. This is exactly, that was why I refused to predict that Yabelo would lose the election. I didn't want him to win. I can't pretend. I've never been his fan. He knows it. His deputy knows it. In fact, they see me as an enemy. I was convinced that he didn't do enough to deserve a second term. And I'm not ashamed to say it. But I knew as an incumbent that it would be difficult to defeat him. That is why I refused to predict that he would lose the election. You see, the incumbent, who also belongs to the ruling party, that's power, that's strength, that's so much rolled into one. And I knew that it would be difficult to take power from him because as the incumbent, backed by strong governors of the APC, definitely it will be difficult. People like El-Rufai and the rest of them, they've gone to help other governors to win. If it was part of the general election, he would have lost the way the governor of, former governor of Adamawa lost, the way the former governor of Bauchi lost, you know. But when it is a off-season election, when it's an off-season election, you then have the opportunity to deploy tremendous material, tremendous number of men, and resources to face that election squarely. So that definitely played into his hands. That helped him. What he did was to cement his base, hold on to his own base, which is Kogi Central. We knew that nobody would be able to compete against him there. As a young boy, in 1983, when Adamu Atta was the incumbent governor of Kwara State, despite the fact that Awo's party had Abateme Usman as deputy governorship candidate, it was a one-sided election in Kogi Central. I know the way they vote for their. It will be difficult for you to even come out and say you want to vote for the opposition. So we expected that in Kogi Central it would be a rout. So he held on to his base and then turned Kogi West. He turned Kogi West to what you call a battleground. I can tell you, look at 53 polling units affected by violence on election day. That's significant in one senatorial zone. In one senatorial zone. So where you have this, it definitely will impact on the conduct of the election, on even the outcome. So this is the thing. It turned Kogi West to a battleground and held on to his base. So the quantum of votes coming from Kogi Central made the difference. Of course, in Kogi East, the kind of votes that you would have expected, we didn't see. That was why I added the proviso that if they turn out en masse, when you look at the figures from Kogi East, you can't call that turning out en masse. Those figures were really not significant at the end of the day, given the fact that the bulk of the population, more than 55% of the population of Kogi State, is in that area. And in fact, in terms of the number of PVCs collected, they were far ahead of other senatorial zones. But in terms of the number of votes returned from that area, you cannot call that massive turnout. No, you can't call that massive turnout. So in any election, certain conditions must be present before you can safely say, oh, this person will win an election. And usually, we can talk about that. Most people, when they want to be on the safe side, they say, if elections were held today. So some of the things that we said in the past that people are making so much noise about on social media, some of those things, some of the things I said before people like Faleke even joined the train. Faleke's entry into the race was a game changer. When Asiwaju told him to go and work for Abelo, I said, if Abelo wins this election, he has Faleke to thank. And I was discussing with one of Abelo's aides, and he said, Faleke was a game changer for us. That's the way it is. At the time, we were thinking, well, this election in Kogi West, this is the way it will go. Faleke had not come into the picture. And that was why I refused to predict. On Friday, we were only, I said, no, I will not make any prediction. What I do is not prophecy, it's prediction. I look at facts on ground.
What's on ground.
Yes, I'm not a pastor. So if certain conditions are not available, I will never make a prediction because I will look stupid at the end of the day. If, for example, I was expecting a free and fair election in many of the states, as we had before the last election, then you can safely say this is the person who will win. But where people are being fired at, or helicopters are using firing tear gas at people, will you still be able to safely say, oh, that place is a stronghold or so party, that is the party that will win there? No. It will make no sense at the end of the day.
Interesting. GKB, we can't discountenance Babajide's views. But then again, strategy, simply put, could be seen as an honorable thing. But strategy, when combined with the obvious things seen in the Kogi election, can you say that the election was free and fair?
Well, I think as far as Kogi is concerned, we are looking at free and fair in the rear view mirror. What happened in Kogi was a full-out war on both sides. They were taking no prisoners, and they've never pretended that that's what they're going to do. The fact that the casualty remains that low, to me, was an achievement on part of the security forces and the will of the people to make a difference. Like Jide said, a lot of people will simply stay away, especially in areas that are battlegrounds, instead of coming out to be butchered or to be killed, which means that automatically the figures will go down in those areas. So that's the reality we have to face when we are looking at the results of the Kogi election. For example, if the Kogi West is supposed to be the battleground, it's on 2 levels. The governor must win substantial amounts, and then don't forget also the senatorial elements also coming in. So while you can move in force in the Kogi East and break the back of the majority of the people to vote, you cannot afford to do the same thing because you have another candidate running for Senate on your party tickets, which I think is the main reason why we have the inconclusive nature of the senatorial elect. So basically, the Kogi election, like I said, is an all-out war. And it is, for Yaya Bello, it was political do or die. He either survives this or he goes under. Luckily for him, he survived.
Interesting. Babajide, brigandage, intimidation, harassment of voters, sporadic shooting. These are some of the words we're hearing about the Kogi election. Have you seen anything? Because you are a seasoned political analyst. Have you seen any election with this scale of violence in Nigeria's history? Is there anything comparable?
No. In fact, since the advent of the internet, I've never seen where so many negative videos about a particular election went viral as we had in Kogi. I think that the INEC has to continue to reinvent, look for ways of making our elections credible. Anybody who fears God would not say that what happened on Saturday was right. And for INEC to have told us that 53 polling units were affected, that should tell you that some people are quite clearly running riots. That was in the senatorial election alone. Senatorial election alone. We are not talking about
The governorship.
Yes, for the governorship it will be more. That's to tell you that politicians still see election as war. You know, I was saying it on Friday.
On Friday.
Said, I know that politicians will kill themselves on election day. They will kill people on election day. It happened. The Nigerian politicians won't mind if by 1 o'clock we suddenly find ourselves in pitch darkness. So Sunday, how do the Yorubas say it? They won't mind as long as his interest is protected. When we were, and it cuts across political divide. It's not a matter of, it is APC alone or it is PDP. After all, even before the election, they were already killing themselves on both sides. They were attacking one another on both sides. So it's not a question of, violence is limited to one party. We always go for an election. Politicians always go to an election believing that if he does not unhinge his opponent, that his opponent will unhinge him. So it's a kind of a zero-sum game. Mutually assured destruction, but it has to be me that will destroy you, not you. I won't let you carry the day. So this is the thing. Remember when Obasanjo said, this election is a do or die during the PDP years. So this is something that has been with us. But as we always say, elections are not meant to be do or die. Elections are meant to be happy moments.
Referendum.
You know,
A
just
carnival.
occasions when people will be happy to tell themselves that yes, today I have the power to change a government that is not popular. You know, it should make people happy. The electorate should have that feel good, whatever. But that's not what we see. And INEC's rule that if election is disrupted in a particular polling unit,
Cancel it.
you cancel it. It has encouraged politicians to deliberately target where the opponent is strong. And you then go and disrupt election where you know that the opponent is strong. That is wrong. There has to be another way, because this one rewards the aggressor. We can't have a system that rewards the aggressor. We must keep tinkering with our electoral processes so that we will eventually have elections that we can truly say are free and fair. For example, politicians buy this from EC8A, the result sheets. Politicians buy result sheets. They get the original result sheets. They bribe people inside INEC, get the original result sheets, with which when they beat up collation officers or other electoral officers, they then swap the real result sheet
with their own
already filled. They swap with the clean one that they have, and then force them to sign. One youth corps member, because my pastor's daughter is serving Kogi, he said that some of the boys who are working claimed that they had guns put to their heads and that they were forced to sign. The election monitoring group told us that they had 15% ratio.
threat assessment level.
Yes, stress assessment for Oshun.
Before you continue that, we have a caller who's been holding on from Delta State. Good evening.
Good evening, ma'am.
Yeah, Lucky. But go ahead with your contribution. Be brief, please.
Yeah. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
I want to contribute something and just ask a question. So there are some local governments that are not up to 32,000 people, but whereby the police employs 32,000 people to a state, yet we still have such problems. What are we doing? What are security people doing? How do they buy them? And that's just my question. So local governments are not also 32,000 in the north. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Lucky. The line wasn't so clear. I wonder if you got
Yeah,
Lucky's point.
he was asking that there are places where population is less than the number of people who got PVCs.
Okay, GKB, go ahead. We're talking about threat assessment levels.
Yes, we've been here before, not as blatant and not as in your face. Remember that there was an election in 2003 in a particular state where they have 22 million people registered and 2 million people voted. Nobody died, nobody traveled, nobody was sick.
It was a raining day.
And it was raining. So we've seen all manners of shenanigans played out in the name of politics. The danger that I see, which everybody else is now admitting, is the fact that even the electorate are giving up on the power of the PVC that they hold. That's why they are willing, even in front of cameras, to sell and collect 2,000. Because they know if you do not get it, it doesn't matter the PVC you are holding, the result will go one way or the other anyway. And that to me is the danger we face as a democracy. Because our people are now of the opinion that they no longer matter when it comes to elections. They are just what the Americans will call a cannon folder. Basically something to use while you step on them to get to where you are going. That to me is where the stress level will be a big key in what we are going to do. But we need only to do that on two levels. Kogi has shown us that people are willing, are desperate to do anything under any condition to get the result they want. And this, of course, is because In the last 2, 3, 4, 5 tribunal cases, the onus has been on the defendants to prove, and they cannot. So it is beginning to show, little by little, that we are looking at a situation where possession is 99%. All the mandates, and nothing will happen in the courts, because to prove beyond reasonable doubt, it's going to be extremely difficult. It is at that point that I'm afraid something will give. I don't know where, I don't know when, but somebody someday will give to say that, no, you have to stop this. Our votes must count, but not during this electoral cycle.
Okay. I'd like to talk more about, you know, the burden of proof at the tribunal level, but we have another caller on the line. Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening.
Yes, go ahead with your contribution.
Seriously, I'm calling local government.
Okay.
Baba, you live long.
Good evening.
You live long.
Yeah.
To the good example is in a local government, for just like they are rebranding the Second World War. It was true rioting. You can imagine government coming after voters. How can they vote their right choice? It is something that is not quite democratic, to be honest with us. So you need to just talk to people about what happened in my local government. I'm just trying to make a report so you can expatiate more on that.
Which local government?
Ampa local government.
Okay.
Ampa.
Yeah.
Ampa local government. Very, 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 very corrupt. It's as if they embedded corruption into their senses, to be honest with ourselves. I'm very angry. I couldn't vote. So that is just...
Because intimidation is also part of the strategy. You first to try to buy them, then you try to sway them, then you intimidate them. Either way, something must be done.
Must give. All right. You're still watching Journalist Hangout. We'll take a quick break now and be back with more. Stay still on to Journalist Hangout on TVC. The Kogi and Bayelsa elections are very much on our minds this evening, and we're looking at the outcome of that election, the character of that election particularly. We're making progress with our discussion now. GKB was talking earlier on about the burden of proof resting with the defendants when they get to tribunal level. Babajide, with the presence of, you know, content on the internet that may be evidence about how the Kogi election, you know, went, could they be tenable if indeed, you know, the PDP is, you know, gearing up to go to the tribunal?
It has the person who shot it must be the one to present the evidence. Otherwise, it won't be admissible in court. It's just like you are trying to nail a police officer. You then recorded him with a spy camera and handed it over to someone who has a libel case or a case against that police officer. He cannot use that evidence. What the court would ask you is, did you shoot that video yourself? If you are not the one who shot the video, you are not going to be allowed to present the evidence. So if they can get sufficient witnesses, maybe they will just succeed. If you recall what happened in Olujime's case, Olujime asked for a recount. So sometimes when you do massive thumb printing, which of course is part of vote rigging, and then you use ballots that are not meant, because ballots are serialized, you use ballots that are not meant for a particular polling unit. If they do a recount, those ballots will be put aside.
Set aside.
So a candidate can then prevail on account of having a majority of the lawful votes, because those ones are not lawful votes. For example, in the Ekiti election, ballots from another state were used in the course of massive thumb printing. Of course, those ones will be set aside. And those are things that are easy to prove. So it depends on what facts you have. If you are sure of your facts, you can ask for a recount.
And a very good lawyer.
And a good lawyer will ensure that the recount is well managed, and then you present the report of the recount. This was how Olujime won his case, and the recount showed that she led Adeyeye by 4,000 votes. Because once those ones were taken out, of course, in the presence of INEC officials, policemen, and representatives of the opponent. So everyone knows what is a valid ballot and what is not a valid ballot. So it depends on the quantum of evidence that they have. But I think that our electoral process needs to be tinkered with. I don't want to see elections where people's lives are endangered. These guys who carry guns, ride in multi-terrain vehicles to fire at people, they shouldn't be endangering the lives of our people. An election should not cost anyone's life. The stress percentage, or what was it called, for Osun, was just 15%. But in the case of Kogi, it rose to 97%. According to the election monitors, not Babajide saying it. This are their own words. So if an election that happened and we had to do a rerun at just 15%, that should tell you that what happened in Kogi was a heist. Or how do you pronounce it? Heist. H-E-I-S-T. Heist.
What tinkering would work for such situations? Because I ask this because reporters, the election monitoring group said the brigandage took place in the open glare of the policemen. So what tinkering would work?
No, but there are different layers. There is an INEC rec. There are 2 INEC recs in this country that everyone knows them. That you can't buy them. They will not cooperate with you. The INEC rec in Sokoto and the INEC rec in Akwa Ibom. Now, you know what one of them did? The form EC8A for the election, he actually initialed them. So if you went and forged a form EC8A, or you got the form EC8A from another source, only the one initialed by the REC was permitted to be used in the election. So if you brought one that was not initialed, you will know that you got it through the back door. And whatever result imputed on that one will not be accepted. So that was
that's the joker.
That was his own way of ensuring the fidelity of the election in the area
he superintended.
Yes, that's one. Electronic voting. This issue of card reader has to be resolved. INEC boasts a lot about card reader, that look, anywhere that there is no, that they don't use the card reader, the election will be cancelled. But many returning officers allow voters, allow manual accreditation. Because as we saw with the judgment of the Supreme Court in the aftermath of the 2015 election, the card reader is not known to our laws. It's not backed by law. The justice of the Supreme Court proclaimed it. So all those votes, the millions of votes that came from the South, the APC could not get them voided. That was how Wike got out of jail. Jail in inverted commas, because I'm using it metaphorically, but some of our people will say he's saying Wike was a jailbird. No, he got out of jail because the court had said that, look, the card reader was not known to our laws. So why don't we go ahead now, quickly get the card reader to be part of our laws and the electoral process, validated as part of our electoral process, because you can't build a solid case on it and say, no, they didn't use the card reader. You cannot void an electoral process. You cannot have an electoral process voided on account of non-use of the card reader, because up to now, that has not been passed. Then I believe that our elections, if we embrace electronic voting, it will not only make elections seamless in Nigeria, it will ensure that we don't spend the kind of money that we spend. Even ballots, all these papers that we use, spend so much money, ballot paper will be as long as Third Mainland Bridge. We will not need them anymore. Once it's electronic, nobody will use paper. You know? So we can have all our elections in one day. Frankly, technology can help us to have all our elections in one day and stop spending all those billions. We spend in excess of 100 billion to conduct elections in our country. So I believe that we should move towards technology. Technology will help us banish rigging, the sort of rigging that enables an idiot to do just because he's carrying a gun to chase innocent people away. People who had been in the sun on the queue, you know, trying to exercise their franchise. You then come and destroy all the hard work, all the sacrifice. I believe that technology can take us there and render those people irrelevant. We just need to look at some countries of the world. Look at the one that we want to borrow. You know, is it from India? Yes, the one that can work here. Is it India that we want to borrow their methods, or Botswana, or any other country? All I know, all I desire is to see a situation in which our elections are credible. Our elections, for now, there is no election, even the 2015 election, we cannot hold it up to the world.
For scrutiny.
For scrutiny. We can't hold it up and say, look, we are proud of this election. No, there's no election that we have had that we can show to the world that, yes, indeed, we had an excellent election. And we have to get to that point when we can truly say, yes, this is a free and fair election. The way it is now, people have found a way around INEC's plans. INEC's efforts to stop vote buying have failed. They said they would redesign the voting area. They've not done that. So from that cubicle, you can actually raise your head up and see the person wants to give you money, and even show him that, yes, you actually printed his party, and then you go and collect your money. Yeah? People, women posing as food sellers on election day, people selling rice, but they are the ones that they've been mandated to share money to people.
And don't forget the Yankee at the Ekiti election. Where a particular Yankee will show the kind of person you are voting for, as long as you wear that Yankee.
Now, with reforms still in mind, GKB, tell us what you think about the Smart Adeyemi and Dino Melaye Rerun. That INEC's margin of rule is still coming to haunt us.
Yes, because if you look at the figures, the number of places that were cancelled, it will impact on the election. And that's what the Electoral Act says. If you cancel enough to show that if they have been added, Mr. A will have won. The best thing is to have it rerun. If I left to me, I would even consider that for any election that were disrupted. Finish the general election, those areas that were disrupted because they wanted to get an advantage, we will now concentrate on them if it is just 4 polls or 15 polling booths. And then make sure that the security people are tight and they cannot be done. That's why for Kogi West, it's a battle of 2 sons who have made up their mind to be the people's champion. But that's for the people's interest. It's not that entirely. But that's what both of them are claiming. And like we said on this program before, Dino Melaye have a very strong presence. I don't want to say old. Very strong presence in that particular area. But he's fighting an uphill battle against the state structure. A governor who has made up his mind to make him the whipping boy of this particular election. And then a senator who has been there before, who has his own race to run. This combination, to me, is enormous. But that Dino was able to force a run, to me, is a small victory for him. Because I assume that with the amount of things provided against him, it should have been rolled over by now. Yeah. But he's still standing, very slim margin, but but he's still in the bout. And that to me is key. So I want to commend people of Kogi West for sticking to their guns and showing that they can, because this is the only election there that you can truly see in terms of percentage of turnout and in the balance of voting. Yes, that this reflects the people's will.
But it seems to be some sort of paradox. If Dino Melaye has a strong presence, yet Smart Adeyemi was able to, upturn the election.
Don't forget the states.
BKO, what are your thoughts?
Don't forget that Smart has Abelo on his side. Smart had Faleke on his side. He has the ruling party to contend against. And Dino is extremely popular in Lokoja. The disruption of polls, a lot of it happened in Lokoja, the densely populated areas. So if in spite of all that, in spite of the fact that his strongholds were targeted, because even his own polling unit was attacked and one of the ballot boxes taken away. And
fact,
his
he lost his
nephew was
nephew,
killed. So if in spite of that, he was still able to move that close, then you have to give it to him. After all, in the final analysis, the candidate of the PDP didn't get that close to Yabelo. But I've seen places where people voted for Yabelo and still voted for Dino because they do not like Smart. They used to describe Smart as the fourth senator from Kwara because his investments are concentrated in Kwara. So when people choose all the hotels that he has, they're concentrated in Kwara. What's the investment that he has in Kogi West, for example? Ask people. Don't just listen to, ask people to validate whatever I'm saying or otherwise. So people have their reason for choosing who to support. And generally, Dino is popular. If he wasn't popular, he would have been defeated hands down in this election. There would have been no need for a run. I can tell you, if you check all these 53 polling units that they are talking about, there will be polling units where Dino Melaye was likely to win. We saw it.
So a rerun will make all the difference in this case?
No, it may not. I've not seen anyone who obtained such a margin in the event of a rerun.
But to even get this, it's a small victory.
20,000 is significant, no doubt about it. But how are we sure that even when we do a rerun, we won't still see those stupid boys carrying guns around and chasing people away? How are we sure? That is the thing. How are we sure? The might of the state, they always say nobody can defeat the state. He had to contest against the might of the state. In Kogi West, everyone knows that Faleke is strong. In fact, his popularity cuts across Kogi, the three senatorial zones, because he inherited Abubakar Haudu's structures. So for him to be up against Dino, I know many people who are supporters of Faleke, who supported Dino in the March 2019 election, who worked against Dino in this last one. So those are some of the variables that ultimately affect an election. With Faleke, like his own brother, working against him, and both of them are from Ijumu, which is his own area of strength. You should expect that it will not be easy, because Faleke delivered a victory to APC in Ekenade with an audacious margin, both for Bello and Smart Adeyemi, which is significant.
Okay, let's go to Bayelsa now. Bayelsa State has never been in the hands of the opposition, i.e. the ruling party, All Progressives Congress. They've been describing what happened on Saturday as nothing short of a revolution. GKB, what were the mistakes of the PDP in Bayelsa State?
It's like Newcastle voting for the Conservatives or New York voting for Republicans. It's almost one of the safest states for PDP. But we all know that politics are local, basically. And whatever we think at national level is only the interest of those people at home that will determine what will happen. And in this case, the major stakeholders in Bayelsa moved against the candidate of Seriakidis. And they let it just to prove to him that you may want to
choose your successor alone.
You cannot. Even when top men in Nigeria went to him to plead with him to obey what the party wanted, and he thought that his achievements as a governor
Was
make a
enough.
difference. But we also know a governor in the southwest states that was beating 16-0, and he was flouting achievements that people felt they could not see. In this case, they could see it, but he was playing
All
God.
too recently.
And they decided that, okay, you are not the God, we are.
Babajide, I know that you were much of a supporter of Dixon, but you would have a fuller view of what you consider Dixon's mistakes may have been.
I support governors who work for the people. I know that Dixon really worked for Bayelsa people. If you are in the PDP or the APC, if you are a governor who performed, I would like you as a person. I remember when senators went to Bayelsa State, they reported that Dixon was one of the few governors who was not tampering with local government funds. That's one. Dixon took roads to places where they had never seen roads before. Alebri in Ekremo, from Sagbama to Ekremo and Alebri. In the past, you could only access those areas by waterways. He built schools. But you know what people will say is, look, beyond the schools, give us money. And Dixon would not want to give people money. I told him, even when I met him, I said, this election, people will ask for money. Are you prepared to give people money? He said, no, I'll give people appointments, that should be enough. But our people, a lot of, in an electoral season, many people defect. They defect for the money because they make all kinds of promises to them. When you see that defections are rampant, a lot of them, especially big people, they don't just defect. They promise them one thing or the other, either appointments or big money. So when the thing was working against him, and I raised the issue, some of the people close to him said, no, during the last, in 2015, even the chairman of the party defected. He still didn't stop him from winning. But this time around, the APC exploited the gaps. Look at the former president, Goodluck Jonathan, and his wife. They preferred Alaibe. Governor Dixon did not want Alaibe. He felt that Alaibe could not be trusted. Because he's a serial defector. Today he will defect, come back. Tomorrow again he will defect. So he didn't want to give Alaibe the ticket. But that was the candidate that Jonathan and Goodluck, I mean Jonathan and Patience wanted. Remember that it was Goodluck Jonathan that brought out Dixon and gave Dixon the job in the first place. So he would expect at least he would listen to him. It didn't happen. Later on, APC members, they started reaching out to the former president. APC used the hotel, Patient Jonathan's hotel as headquarters, as the headquarters for the party. In the end, the Jonathan family, including Jonathan's mom, they worked against PDP. Alaibe's polling unit was won by PDP. But in spite of that, everyone knows that Jonathan, Alaibe, and other people didn't really work for the party. So this is the thing. They too have been saying that the soldiers helped APC to rig this and that. But in a situation in which you are outspent, because David Leon, a pipeline contractor, extremely rich, those ones will spend the money. They know that you are tight-fisted. They will spend the money. They will outspend you.
And that's what Bayelsans wanted.
Yes.
We have another caller on the line. We apologize for keeping you on. Please go ahead with your contribution.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Babajide.
Good evening. I greet you.
Thank you very much. Please, let us call it a state. What is happening? I'm from Kogi State.
Yes.
Yes. So what is happening in our state? At times I look at it as it's because we are a minority. If not, how would somebody say what happened on Saturday is election? How should we address that as election?
So what did we say?
Servants were there to.
How did
Nobody
we?
is left out of. Nobody is left out of the net with the district.
So what have we been saying?
Cancel the election to serve as a district.
Are you following the program?
They do follow us from the beginning. They do follow us from the beginning. And did we say what happened was right? Did we say killing of people was right? Did we say snatching of ballots was right?
The election. They should leave by the to be there. They should cancel the election.
Okay.
So that
All
next
right.
time, the election will not be more back.
We'll
Ladi,
get the
thank you
message
very
across. Thank you, ma.
All right. Go ahead, Babajide. Just
You know,
briefly
that is
land
the
on your
thing.
point.
So you cannot, maybe governors will learn from this. Jonathan kicked out Silva and brought this person in. Silva has gone to work with Jonathan now to kick
Dixon out.
Dixon's candidate.
candidate out. So you must have broad consensus in picking your successor. Governors need to learn from this because many governors have failed to pick their successors. The good thing that he has done, he introduced boarding facilities in Bayelsa for the first time. He built them an airport. Those people like Shomole who are abusing them over the airport now, who were saying that the airport was flooded, I'm sure that when David Leon becomes governor, he will be flying and landing at that airport. That's the value of infrastructure. So he's done his best for his people, those coups. But the thing is, no matter how popular you are, if you don't get your politics right, on election day, you will be taught a lesson.
Which is where I'm headed. The fundamentals, the commentary on the streets of Bayelsa that really formed the victory of the APC. Yeah. What does this say about our democratic experience? I mean, the sharing of money thing that made Bayelsans embrace Lion, you know, that's
embrace APC.
APC. That coupled with the story, which has been confirmed that the man's educational credentials are not impressive. What does it say about, you know, our democratic experience?
We have a country that has nuclear weapons, being ruled by a man that people thought is not fit. But normally people have the right. That's what they call democracy. If the person has one leg and one ear, as far as that's what the people want, that's what the people get. That's what we do with whatever they are. It's what we want at that point.
And those cases will still be decided after the
after election.
I've seen senators chased out of the chambers on account of invalid credentials. So nobody knows what will happen.